Having a routine as a miner is extremely important. I like to check the agency. I like to make sure that there's no power strongholds in the system. I look at player structures, where it's at, what security it's in. This system here has a few belts. Doesn't really matter which one I go to. All I know is we have compression, which I try to bookmark as well. Once you're out on the belt, you just want to be orbiting. It's pretty much good business. It's better than just sitting there. You don't look like you're AFK, like it matters really anyway. Once you set to orbit, I usually set it to like half of whatever my range is. So my range is 12K. I set it for 6,000 meters. That way, if I do have my prop mod on, I'm still going to be roughly in minor range there. And then really from that point on, it's all about just booting up Project Discovery. Keep an eye on D-scan and everything. And just earning. The other thing too is since I store everything in JITA, and I'm moving around quite a bit as a miner, I have my home system or my home station set to JITA. So whenever I get stuff in my reward window, I will go down here and just hit return to home station or redeem at home station. That allows everything that I get from rewards, whether it be from like career points or whatever the case may be, to just kind of go where everything's being stored anyway. It saves me a lot of headache as far as logistics and things like that. I also try to do a lot of my mining around reset, which server just reset right now, which is where that booster is from, was from the login bonus. But then there's very little people, in local. We have about like 8 people in local right now. Going over some tips though, as far as just normal mining tips, I try to name my characters with one of the last 13 letters of the alphabet, because whenever people log in, and you can't sort local, so the top half will almost always be visible to people immediately. So if you're named one of the last 13 letters of the alphabet, then you're at the bottom half of local. So if they're running a really short window and they come in the system, they might not see you without scrolling, especially if the system has a lot of people in it. It's just kind of a very small thing that I do. And also, as far as when you're making mining alts, try to stay away from a naming convention if you can. Don't have all your alts kind of roughly named the same, because a lot of the extortionists in HiSec will be targeting bot adjacent or bots or AFKers specifically, because they're easier targets, they assume. And that's one of the big red flags, is if they come in local and they see a lot of characters with the roughly the same name. The other thing too is naming your ship. Make sure you rename your ship. Don't leave the default. The default where it's like your player's name and then the name of the ship. It's just that's giving people information, because then it shows your name on DScan and they can quickly associate your name in local to what ship you're actually flying, and kind of pinpoint roughly where you're at and what activity you're actually doing. Since this is a player citadel, we're actually just going to warp 0 to it. That way we don't have to worry about docking. It takes extra time to dock, and then extra time to unload, and then undock again, and then warp out. So this goes across for pretty much anything you do, whether it be null mining or low sec mining. I'm just going to warp directly to the station at 0. And then we'll right click and open cargo deposit here, and that's what we're gonna do. We're just gonna dump in. And then usually I don't try to like stay on the same belt. I'll just kind of pick random ones. That's kind of, I just like being in a bunch of different places. So if somebody's, chilling or watching, you never know. And it gives me some new scenery or whatever the case may be as far as that goes. But really, this is kind of what the day goes by as. It's just kind of making sure everything is, moving along. I'll usually be doing stuff on other characters while working on this alpha. But yeah, just kind of warp to grid again. Pick a rock, as long as it's Veldspar. turn on the prop mod, get close, and then set orbit. But I am working on Veldspar right now because it's has a high demand in nullsec. I do know a lot of people in nullsec, so if I decide to sell my stockpile at some point, I know I can get probably above Jita price for the compressed Veldspar because it can be used as trit for manufacturing in nullsec. So that's just something that I have in the back of my mind. That's why I prioritize the trit over pretty much anything else, really. If you're just gonna mine and just sell, then if you're have availability, then yeah, go for like rich plag or something of that nature. Vary it up a little bit, but for what I'm currently doing, Veldspar makes a whole lot of it makes more sense for me to do, and that's just kind of another tip as well, is kind of have a buyer lined up before you do an activity, and then agree upon a price so that there's an expected kind of return on your activity. But I know for a lot of you watching this, you're out there, you're high sec mining, you're just chilling, you're having a good time, like we do. So a lot of this stuff probably doesn't really apply. Just go out there, mine, get lasers on, kind of do your thing. And that's kind of really the important part of it, is just being productive is really important. There's a lot of times, like in nullsec, when you're doing ratting and or exploration, and there's not a data relic site, or there's not a rat site, and you're not doing anything. There's a lot of downtime. You don't really feel necessarily productive, especially if there is stuff you can do and there's like a lot of activity in your area. It gets kind of frustrating. But I think it's what I like about mining, is it's pretty chill. It allows you to feel like you get something accomplished at the end of the day, even if it's not high dollar or high ISK amount. You're kind of making progression. You're making strides towards some sort of accomplishment for the day. All right, so we filled up again. That's kind of what I do on a day-to-day basis. Not really complicated. It's about repetition, and it's about sustainable income and a realistic kind of daily goal, because I do not play anywhere close to what most on average Eve players play. I mean, we used to have mining ops that we would clear like 9 belts a day back, like almost 2 years ago. But that's just not really how I do things anymore. I've got so much other stuff going on, right? Life and everything. So I just try to, get something accomplished. So, I mean, this is what we've just done in the process of kind of recording this video. And so what I'll normally do is I'll just come in here, I'll kind of compress everything. And then whenever I log out, especially if I'm in a Citadel, a player-owned structure that I don't control, or I don't know the people I control, if I log out in that structure, I just put all of my ore in the ship if it'll fit, and just kind of hang out. That way, if I log in and I undock, and for whatever reason my docking access is no longer allowed, I at least have my things with me. But thank you for watching this episode, and hit the like button, hit the subscribe button, and I will see you in the next one. Peace out.